Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer. I also have training in intercommunications, interspecies communications, and all the psychic skills. I was part of a secret government program that has still not been declassified. Um, when I was used as like a demo model when I was probably 12, uh, and I guess it was my control that took me to different politicians that were on different committees in Congress and explained to them that the experiments that I was involved in were going to be able to help for the children in the future in the United States at what they learned. And they did take my IQ, they increased it many, many points. You can do that very easily through traumatizing people, especially when they're children. You'll augment their IQ. They'll figure stuff out if you traumatize them enough. And basically, that's what they did. But I was introduced as a non citizen because even though I was born in a military base, they tried to ensure that I looked like I was not American. My father was a military, American military. And I was born on, I mean, I'm assuming I was born in a military base, but it doesn't matter. My father was an American soldier in Europe after the Second World War. But his wife was not my mother. This was with a German woman who supposedly was from a lineage that, together with his, would produce this child, whatever, that would be very gifted. Um, the trick of the matter is, I was not able to become an American citizen until 1988, even though my father was military and I was born in Europe under military conditions. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't American so that they would never have to defend themselves from abuse of Americans in these secret programs. Okay, okay, all sorts of games being played. Not only was I supposedly technically American, they never got that information for it to be put into a school system. You cannot have that many brilliant people around who are very psychic, who are prophetic, and who knows what you're going to do before you know that you're going to do it. You can't have that many people around. Why would they share what they learned? Not to their advantage. I don't think they ever intended on sharing it. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to share it. So today we're going to talk about, well, I'm going to let you know what I think it might be interesting for you to know about interspecies communication. Now, as I told you a couple of podcasts back, there was apparently, and I wasn't the one who said it. I am actually repeating what somebody else said, but it makes total sense that there were a group of kids that they called space babies, and they were associated with NASA, which I was, and they were trained for interspecies communication, which I was. So, what does that have to do with today? Well, today we have the whole alien thing hanging over us. We don't actually know what's going to happen in terms of disclosure, but we do kind of know what has happened in the past with the aliens. We do know, and I don't think anybody is going to question this, but that the Nazis worked with aliens, and that's how they got such incredible technology, which, when the war was over, United States, Russia, and England went in to Germany, which is that's the point at which my father went to Germany, and I was born there. They went in and they took over all this technology that the Germans had that was very advanced, and apparently a lot of it was from aliens. So you have the Nazis able to work with the aliens. There's no reason, first place, there's no reason why they didn't continue. It probably did. But let's pretend that it didn't continue. There's no reason why it shouldn't continue, but with good intentions. The same way there's human beings with bad intentions and human beings that are completely out of it, and they don't even know what their intentions are, so they can be manipulated. It's the same thing with ETs. So, with good intentions, what can you do with interspecies communication with good intentions? Well, you can align yourself with good ETs, but we already do that. But we don't call them ETs. We call them spiritual beings, and we call them sacred. When you call in the angels to help you out, like I had a friend of mine that used to call in a parking angel. When she wanted to find parking before she rolled around the block, she would call in a parking angel. She swore that it worked. Um, but even if that particular thing did not work and it was just her intention that got it, she called in angels. And throughout history, and certainly everybody who's into Christianity, or most of them, are very familiar with the concept of angels and call them in and consider that they are sacred and that they help. I am working with this new type of spirits that have entered the planet that are parasites. They're called Xenos, Xezenos. And they're not from this planet. They're pretty recent in terms of their invasion of the planet. And I struggle to cut them and to pull them out. And I call in a particular angel, which I'm not that comfortable with the angelic vibration. I'm dolphin vibration, dolphin consciousness. But I call in Saint Michael, who, because I needed somebody with an instrument. This is Ptah, the god that's on the Academy Awards statue. This is his instrument. I called in Saint Michael because he has a sword that's flaming, and that fire is necessary to cut those new type of spirits. But I'm making this part very short because I don't want to trigger your belief system. You're trying to wrap your head around stuff that's old, and I'm giving you stuff that's happening today that's new that nobody talks about. Not a good idea on my part. So I work with angels. Most of you probably do believe in the existence of angels. Those are aliens. They're alien beings. They don't have physical bodies. I don't think they ever had physical bodies, but you believe in them. And then you have the special people in your religion that are your sacred people, a lot of whom were not, because Jesus Christ was born. An interesting birth, no sex, but he was born. So we can't say that he's an alien, but there's a lot of the people that we follow in religions that were aliens, such as Lord Vishnu from Hinduism, who supposedly brought in the coconut in order to help people to defend themselves from spirits that did once have a physical body. In other words, humans whose physical body died and their spirit is wandering around. So I'm going to repeat again a story that I've said, having to do with something that you need to know to be able to navigate this whole thing with the ETs and the spirit world, and this integration of the galactic with planet Earth, and the mess because we have no education. So the story that I've said before is I was having an acupuncture treatment, and when I looked up, my acupuncturist her eyes were wide open as if she was in shock. And I said, "What happened?" She went like this, "Quiet, tell you later." So when the session was over, I said, "What happened?" She said, "I saw an angel leaning over you and giving you a healing." She was so impressed. And I went, "Wow." I said, "Exactly at that moment," I said, "what I saw over me was white light." So there was no argument. Each of us saw what we were capable of taking in. She believed in angels. I didn't at that point. And she saw an angel giving me a healing. In addition to the acupuncture treatment she was giving me, I saw white light because I would have struggled with the image of an angel. That's called shapeshifting. Whatever energy was there presented itself in a way that we could accept. In other words, it was a well-intended energy or being or alien. I saw it as light. She saw it as an angel. It was the exact same moment. No question. If you can wrap your head around that and hang on to that, then a lot of things that are going to shake up other people are not going to shake you up, because you'll go, there's the shape shifting skill. Now, I have the ability in other dimensions to shapeshift. So do a lot of people. And you can too, if you could get yourself out of what you've learned in school, your parents, what your religions taught you, and just widen your lens and just be available for knowledge that has been around forever. So let's get back to the whole interspecies communication. You have a pet. Most of you have pets. I have a pet. You've had a pet at some point. I can see on X, which is where I get most of my news, and I just love those posts with those delicious looking dogs, and the animals are doing such incredible things. They're so kind to each other and unbelievable. And yeah, maybe it's just coincidentally that they were able to capture that on camera doing that, but not really. So you have a pet. And if you really, really, really love your pet, most of you are like really shocked at how intelligent they are and how they seem to know what's going on. And so many times that they warn you of danger. Okay. If you can wrap yourself around that, but widen the lens and go, there's a being inside that shape shifted pet body. And why don't I take advantage of this, my pet, or my neighbor's pet, or the squirrel that's always outside in the window when I do my hair and it's looking at me? Why don't you take advantage and start to communicate with these animals? Because when you start to realize that you are actually communicating and that they're sentient, they're communicating back, you're going to be halfway there having to do with aliens and communication. So all you have to do is the mantra, please God help me with my intention to miraculously communicate with my pet, the squirrel, the lizard, an animal that you see frequently that you have something of a relationship with. And you will be on your way. You will be training yourself for this new era that we have entered. And nobody's going to stop this. This new era where everything's getting thrown together, nobody's going to stop it. I love the fact that there's this stuff going back and forth in Congress because of what happened with the last bill that was passed, and Elon Musk got in the middle of it. And then there's this lady in Congress with purple hair. She's in her 80s, and she obviously dresses for people to pay attention. Kind of fun. Um, but I actually forgot what I was going to say about her because I was too busy defending her choice of purple hair and the clothing. But totally forgot what I was going to say. So we're going to have to keep going, and I may or may not get back to this. So many years ago, when I was going to therapy to clear up from the issues of having been a mind control victim and the torture and all this stuff, one of the things that I got into the habit was of paying attention to the animals that would show up unexpectedly or repeatedly. And then I would look them up to see what the symbolism was. What was that animal trying to tell me? And I ran into a man called Ted Andrews, and I'll write it here. He has passed already, but his books are still here. He was like a shaman, and his books, the one I had two of his books. The main one was Animals Speak. So if I would see an animal, and it looked kind of interesting, or I saw it twice, or I would go and look up what the symbolism was of that animal. What was that animal? What information was it trying to bring me? And I had a lot of fun with that. And I shared it with a lot of people, and a lot of people started their metaphysical journey um, having to do with deciphering what the animal kingdom is bringing us. Remember that according to the Bible, when God made earth, God made the nature first and then animals, and then put humans here. So nature and animals were a backdrop to human evolution. They're here to support us. And every animal brings in an energy that can transfers to you. So when you see them, they're either giving you a message for you to pay attention to, or they're literally transferring their energy to you. For a long time, I kept seeing parrots. And when I finally looked it up, of course, it said diplomacy, which we all know I did not get. Not only did I not get a degree in diplomacy, I didn't take Diplomacy 101. I should have. It would have made my life easier. Who knew? Trying to fix so many other defects I have. But I kept seeing parrots and parrots and parrots and parrots and parrots is about diplomacy. When I finally looked it up, I went, okay, I get it. I need to pay attention. I need to be softer. I need to be more diplomatic. which in my world meant I had to start to lie a lot. I still think that, because my training, if you withhold a piece of information, that's lying. And of course, that's not true in society. In society, it just means you're being not rude or you're being diplomatic. So I have to, anyway, we don't need to go into my particular issues with not being diplomatic. So you might want to start your process in terms of interspecies communication by communicating with your pet. And you are going to, every time your pet responds inside your head, you are going to go, oh, I just made that up. And I'm going to ask you, why would you make that up? Well, I didn't make it up, but you just said you did. Well, but it's in my head, and I don't believe that that pet could talk inside my head, which is telepathy. Therefore, I must have made it up. You know what? Be okay with yourself. Be okay with not believing yourself. Be okay with doubting every step of the way. Just keep moving forward. Be okay with it. It's okay. Be okay. Do it. Our pets are so there for us that if you are Hispanic and somebody has a pet that dies, many times somebody will say, oh, he picked up something that was intended for the family. Well, they picked up something that was intended for the family means some black magic. And I think that if you interview 1,000 Hispanics and ask them about that, I would say 900 of them or 950 will go, yeah, 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 we kind of know that. Now, if you ask them, do you believe in black magic? A lot of them will say no. And yet, if a pet dies and there doesn't seem to be a reason for it, they'll go, "Oh, must have been something that was thrown at the family." So our pets do that because that black magic was not intended for a pet. It was intended for us, somebody in the family, and the pet took it on. So they have intentions, and they're very sweet, and they have a sense of humor also. They have a wide lens, animals, wide lens. They have a sense of humor, at least dogs do, dogs and cats do, and they're there for us. And again, the shaman story. The men living in caves, they need food, they don't have enough food, so they decide the next morning they're going to go down to the river, and hopefully there's some animals there, and they will kill them and they'll have food for the tribe. The animals know this, that they're going to be there the next day. So the animals go and position themselves by the water so that the humans can kill them and have food for the tribe. And it's okay with the animals because you see, this physical body, that animal's physical body, it's nothing. It's totally disposable. And they don't mind disposing of it because they'll just many times just flip first. But if they're animals, supposedly they go back to group soul. So, like, they individualize when humans have needs, and then they go back to group soul. And then if they're going to come in again, incarnate again, then they become individualized and get their characteristics, and they have their intentions having to do with the family that they're with or wherever it is that they're with. So widening your lens having to do with pets and your pet and starting to talk to them, starting to look up animals. Ted Andrews has the books. I found that nice. Today you can look it up on the internet, but you can't look up just anybody, because what I find is that the New Age movement has really distorted metaphysics and other dimensional realities incredibly. In this country, the whole New Age movement of love and angels, but no, not the devil. And oh, you can get an angel to help you with that, but you do not have a bad spirit in your liver. No. In other words, they only take one half of the equation, which is the nice half. And then the other half they leave there. The only problem is that even Jesus Christ, or particularly Jesus Christ, knew that if you were sick, the first thing you have to do is remove the spirits. And it's like going to the doctor with a knife wound, and the knife is still in the wound. You tell the doctor, "Hey, here I'm here," and the doctor says, "Okay, I'll take care of you." And he starts to take out the knife, and you go, "Don't take out the knife. Just clear this, stitch it up." And the doctor says, "How can I do this with the knife still there?" Basically, that's what we do with illness today. They'll take out a part of your body, except you have an energetic component to that liver, to that spleen, to that uterus, to those ovaries. There's an energetic component, but that's the one that got sick. That's the one that has a spirit attached. They take out the physical and it's over. And then they go, oh, let's see what happens next. Because they don't really know. You should take out that spirit because you wouldn't have gotten sick if you hadn't been broken and the spirit was not able to come in. But going back to interspecies communications. So you start right now, today, tomorrow, you start to communicate with some animal that's close to you. And then you do the other part, which I never did because I was drowning in my misery for too long. You start to use animals the way the shamans also use them, which is for transference of energy. If you decide you want to do something in particular, but you're lacking an energy, a vitality, a talent, find the animal associated with that and then get a picture of it or some videos of it and watch it and breathe in the energy and get that energy to transfer to you. Now, horses have the energy of travel and of sensuality and sexuality. They even use horses today to heal pedophiles because horses will align, clarify, purify your sexual energies. So if you're a pedophile, your sexual energies are distorted. And riding horses, according to these modern people, can help in the process of healing. It's a transference of energy. So if you're a very timid person, you might want to get pictures of lions and ask the lion, just say, please transfer this incredible self assurance that you have. I need it for this interview. And start to play that way and make it a game. The whole thing with this other dimensions and everything, it can very much be so much more fun than the regular physical dimension stuff where they already have very serious people assigned to all parts of that, and you don't have a degree, so why are you talking? You don't get degrees in the other dimensions. You become skilled in not alternative skills, but skills that your energy bodies have, and you should train in them. And some of us are born, we inherited a higher level, but basically we all have the skills. And just start to throw yourself at interspecies communication via your pets or the pet of the neighbor, via the working as if you were a shaman, figuring out the trait that you need and bringing in with pictures and videos and movies, etc., the whole 9 yards, the energy of that animal. We give ducks to help to soothe children. So maybe if you get really stressed, maybe you should be looking at ducks and transfer that tranquility that we already know helps children. So just move in that way, and you go, oh, this is kind of fun. A lot of the stuff in metaphysics is fun. Now, I'm going to talk about something that seems like it's off, but I am not a young woman. And when you're not young, all sorts of things start happening to your body. And it's like, what the heck is this? Bring in the wrecking crew? What is this? Bury me already? I'm not going to be able to handle all these things that start to happen. One of the things that happened to me was that the skin on my legs got so dry. And it's possible that I might have been pre-diabetic. I don't go to doctors. So if anybody ever said no, because the doctor said this about her, and no, they didn't. The last time I went to doctors was 30 years ago, and I'm still sorry about it. So, and I figured out, first place, I figured out that the oil jojoba, Jobaba, is very good for my skin when I use it in soaps. It's a huge difference, but it didn't take care of what was going on with my legs, which I feel was because the home I was living in then was right next to a juncture having to do with 5G that had recently been installed, because it just didn't make any sense to me that my skin had gotten like that. So I've been trying and trying and trying to find an oil that can make a difference, because I figured if I ever found it, it would be a very big difference for me, not just for my legs, but for my cuticles. And I finally found it. I found it a week ago, the oil. I ordered all sorts of oil, almond oil, avocado oil, um, moringa oil. I thought the moringa would do it. It didn't do it. Anyway, so it turns out that the oil that it will correct and is correcting the skin on my legs is avocado oil. Okay, so here's a message for all women. You need to experiment and find the oil that works for you. Okay, but why am I saying this now? Because there's a particular energy attached to avocado oil. The oil, um, almond oil, has the energy of joy, the candy bar, almond joy. And it's something that is given in weddings as a gift, like Italian weddings and Hispanic weddings. They'll give you 5 little almonds or 10 little almonds in a cute little bag, and it's for joy, spreading joy. Okay, but the oil that works for me is the avocado oil. Now, almond oil was very good for me, but it didn't take care of the issue. So what's in almond oil? What is the energy in almond oil? Excuse me, avocado oil. What is the energy? What does it transfer to you? Because everything has intention, including oils. Avocado is for fear. Now, I would say that this society has been obsessed with avocados for years. And I find it interesting that Elon Musk, when he was upset and he got into X and everybody was sitting around fanning themselves instead of working, he talked a lot about avocado toast. He doesn't have a lot of fear. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of compassion for people who have a lot of fear or use fear as a reason for not working. But I just found that very interesting. So everything has an intention, including oils. And that's the case with the ETs also. They have intentions. Meanwhile, start practicing up on pets and on beings that are in bodies that you're comfortable with, that you're familiar with. I know why I was saying this story about Congress and the lady with the purple hair. Because somebody said she looked like she should be in that star and that bar scene in Star Wars. And I always refer to that bar scene. And I have said to people, that's what it's going to be like in the future. There's going to be all these weird beings out there. We're going to have cocktail hour. Let's have a drink together. And everybody looking super weird and super different. So that's why I was talking about the lady with the purple hair, and she doesn't bother me, that she's super different. I don't agree with what she was saying, but the fact that they said that she would be appropriate in that scene just puts her right up my alley, which is that we're all going to be there one day. So you start with your pets or with the neighbor's pet, okay? You can get the book, the Ted Andrew book. He has two main ones. You can get it on the internet. Oh, and I was telling you, you can't just listen to anybody on the internet having to do with symbolism of an animal. Because as I said, in this country, the New Age movement, which controls too much of this metaphysical, other dimensional stuff, is very limited. And somebody decided that they didn't want to deal with darkness, that all you do is you embrace love, you embrace light, and you're ready to go for your ascension process. And that's not actually true, because it's the darkness in you, okay, that got stuck to you or that was yours or you inherited, that keeps you with the low frequency, and then you can't do the ascension process. And I think, and I'm going to say this very quickly, and I think that's what happened to the leftist movement. They didn't take care of a lot of negativity. They rejected. They're all shiny light. But you can think that you're rejecting it, but if you didn't do something actually about the fact that it's stuck to you, You're just carrying it. You're just hiding it deeper. Okay, so that's how you start interspecies communication. And then eventually we reach what the Nazis did, which is you work with them for things that are super important and super big and super complicated, above and beyond our scope. But when you go to have a medical procedure done, it's done by somebody that was trained. Hopefully, trained, well trained. They do surgery. You don't know how to do that. That doesn't mean it's not valid. So if you decide in the future, or the government decides in like now, to admit to working with ETs, then the fact that they know that much more is actually kind of a good thing because they can elevate you and take you places you wouldn't be able to go. But there we go with the whole thing with intention. What are the intentions behind this? The intention behind the mind control program I was in, what was told to the Congress people and the people in the appropriations committees was this was for the American children. Playing into, we're good people, we're going to help all American children, so let's fund this crazy program and let's look the other way because we know ugly stuff has to be happening there. It's not American kids anyway. Intentions. Even ETs have intentions. Angels are ETs, they have intentions. Lord Vishnu was an AT. He had an intention to help humans with the coconut. By the way, that's when I knew that things were like really not good. When they, many years ago, they started to do a hit, put out a hit on coconut oil. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. The list of things that coconut oil helps is like a mile long. And they're saying it's bad for you? And the reason it's a mile long is because coconut oil helps to eliminate the spirits, which are the things that make us sick. So that list can be 6 miles long and it would still be accurate. And then they put out a hit on coconut oil. It's horrible for you. You're going to die. You can't take coconut oil. Now it's back again. Now maybe you can take coconut oil. I love it. We're going to be doing less of that under RFK. I love it. We're in a good place, actually, a really good place. I said something big was going to happen today, the 23rd. There would be big revelations. I haven't seen anything, which has me reminding you again that prophecy is to tell you where you're going to end up unless something changes or unless you get off that path. And I don't know what it was that was supposed to happen. But prophecy is not 100% accuracy. It's for you to know something. The future is elastic and plastic. And I'm bringing it up because I was curious as to what was going to happen. The day is not over, but basically it is. So anyway, let's go into the healing part of this get together. And let's do the mantra. Let's do the one about interspecies communication. Give me a second. And let me write it down. Okay. I made it simple. Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously communicate with pets. Remember, you're going to doubt everything that you get in your head. You are going to doubt it. It's going to take you a while before you stop doubting yourself. Okay? And that's just part of that's the only part of the training. If I'm going to train you in interspecies communication, or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old on how to communicate with their pet, all the time is spent telling the kid that, yes, that you heard in your head is accurate. The pet said that. You didn't. Did you say that? And the kid will say, no, it was in my head. I said, that's a pet. All of the training is to get you out of your way. Okay? So let's go ahead and put some music and let's do like 5 minutes of this, okay? Here we go. going back to interspecies communication, all of our emotional support dogs, what they're doing is they're taking off from us negative energy enough to where we have federal laws that cover that so that they're allowed to go places that normally you wouldn't be allowed to take animals. So that image, you know what? You should probably print up that image at the bar, that bar scene in Star Wars, so that you can start to get used to that. The issue of fear in humans is so big that it distorts everything. And if you think that we're all supposed to look like this, the way humans look, you're going to really struggle from here forward because there's nobody's going to be able to push this back into the box. So get that bar scene and print it up. And also print up that gold and white controversial dress and use it to test yourself. If you're going to try to communicate with pets to practice up on your interspecies communication, you should look at that dress first. And if it doesn't look gold and white, then don't bother because your frequency is not good, which means you'll have negative spirits closer to you and they're not going to want you to communicate with other species. They don't want that. They want you in fear. So then don't practice up that when your frequency is down or low. When you see that you can see that dress really gold and white and kind of shiny, then that is the moment to actually try a lot of things that are important to you, not just communicating with pets. So to give you an update, gossip, I started to get some federal mail and then it stopped. And now they're even sending back mail from that's not forwarded, that's just supposed to come to this address. So apparently somebody who's very powerful or dumb as a rock is holding up my federal mail, which I know that if they mess around with one piece, they could end up in jail or in court, whatever. And this has been since August the 22nd that I don't have mail. So, because the bad guys are so in control of South Florida, I don't even bother trying to figure out who I could present a claim to because the two people in charge of the two post office in charge already know of the situation and they're pretending like there's not an issue. So I'm very happy that Trump won, and I'm very happy that the bad guys are going to be exposed because this is beyond ridiculous. It's like living, I don't know, in the Wild West when you live in Miami-Dade County. None of the laws apply here. Guys in Washington, the new guys, please take care of this because this is like really important, not just for me, but for the country. And we will see you again. And if I don't see you before the holidays, in other words, Christmas and Christmas Eve, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful Christmas with the people that you love. And please remember that humans are not each other's enemies. We've known for hundreds of years that our true enemies come from off planet. And whatever plays out amongst humans on planet Earth are to try to get humans to self-correct so that they can be strong enough to withstand the off-planet energies, which includes the devil, but is not limited to that. Okay? Thank you for joining me. I'm Frances Fox. We will see you